What's up, guys? Welcome back to the S3 podcast. Once again, today, some of the topics we got on the list are some stupid driving stuff, death of drivers' cars, some iRacing updates per Nascar still going insane. We're going to update you on GridLife and the festivals going on there, so stay tuned. All right, so to kick off today, recently me and Wooly, or I guess S3 as a whole, but me and Wooly were the ones driving it. We got a Camry TRD. Just a quick, what was your thoughts on the Camry TRD edition?
Like, I loved it. I loved it probably more than I should have. And, I thought about why, because I just had to write the article at Set Press. And I think it's because my expectations were like, it's a Camry, big deal. But it was kind of cool, man. It kind of took you by surprise in a lot of ways. It performed better than you thought it would. Not that it's like an all-out thrasher performance car, but it looks good. So yeah, after I had it for a week, I was like, dude, I could kind of do this.
I thought it was interesting. I want to say you mentioned it, but our expectations for the new Supra were high, and in reality, it didn't meet those expectations.
Yeah.
It was flipped with the Camry. Like, you didn't have any expectations for the Camry, and
right.
it exceeded those expectations.
Dude,
right?
Trust me, I sat there in front of my computer and I was like, how am I, as a car guy, gonna just rip all over the Supra and say that I don't like this thing? And then I get a Camry TRD and I'm like, yeah, this thing's cool. But that's it. It's all expectations versus reality. Like, the Supra has so much to live up to. And arguably they didn't really knock it out of the park, in a couple of different ways. So it leaves a lot of us open to criticism. And that's what we do. We're car guys. Like, we all get online and we criticize, different cars. But the Camry, nobody's out to criticize. It's cool that they made any sort of Camry that's better than the regular Camry. So, yeah, I dug it.
Okay, so hang in there with us. I know we come out of the gate talking about a Camry, and you guys are probably like, what the hell is going on here? But listen, the reason that I bring it up is a guy in California this week just got ticketed in the exact color, the exact model Camry that we had, going 106 miles per hour in a 55 mile per hour work zone with construction workers present.
Jeez.
And so they asked him, it says in like the report that when the police officer asked, do you know what I pulled you over for? He was like, I thought I was going 80.
I can vouch for that.
I feel like we all say that, right? I mean, if we're exceeding the speed that much, we have to have some kind of like backup excuse. That was just a poor one.
Yeah.
So real quick though, question. Is that like a you're going to jail kind of thing? Like, leave the car here, get in the back of my car, my Crown Vic, and let's go? Or what is that? Is that just a nasty speeding ticket?
I'm looking at the article right here, and it doesn't say anything about him going to jail or anything. It just says that his excuse was he was going 80 miles per hour. But that's pretty much it. Like, there's nothing even about, like, the cost of the ticket, nothing. So...
Yeah, well, they probably don't know yet, you know what I mean, because they hadn't gone through court and everything. But I think when you get up in triple digits, it's kind of cops' discretion. I think they certainly can, take you to jail, for reckless driving or anything like that. But, I've had friends that have gotten pulled. Hell, I've gotten pulled going over 100 miles an hour. And usually, if you're polite, and personable, I don't want to say usually, but, sometimes you can get that lowered to a more appropriate fine.
You think the officer saw that, oh, this is just a Camry. He's got too much more. Like, if
this laser must be broken.
The same speed on, a 350Z, you think it would have been a different situation?
No, I mean, I tend to think cops look at cars as just targets more than like what the car actually is. Now, maybe as they're pulling you over, that's when they're making their assessment of like, like how in danger are they, what kind, stuff like that. But I think when the car goes, shoo, he was probably just like, is that a Camry?
I mean, honestly though, if you look up the 2020 car, kind of like a race car. I'm not. It's got like wheels on it. It's lowered. It has a body kit. It's got a wing. It has an exhaust from the factory. It looks like a little sports sedan.
It looks good.
So, I mean,
I agree.
Yeah.
Like if I was a company car type of candidate and I needed to get a practical but decent car, that would be it.
What makes it interesting, or the part of the article that I found interesting, was that it says the California Highway Patrol says that the number of drivers ticketed going more than 100 miles per hour was up 42% in March compared to the same time last year, which presents the conversation of, and I've heard multiple people talk about this before, in this day and age, should speed limits be raised, at least at minimum on highways? Are vehicles capable of going faster than your average 70 miles per hour speed limit in a safe way?
Yeah, it's definitely not the cars limiting us anymore. It's the driver's ability and the number of drivers on the road. So as long as all them non-essential mofos, stay in their houses, we can go out there and go 130 miles an hour back and forth to work.
It's a true story. Like speed limits have not changed since I've been driving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They kind of are what they are. However, technology in automobiles has changed drastically as far as performance and safety. So me and Mike have talked about this at length on like our midday little phone conversations and stuff about how we should have like a class system of licenses.
We do technically, but it's about like driving bigger things.
Right.
It needs to be more about driving
it needs
in
to be
the
like,
faster lanes.
You are not
Like
good at
Granny
this.
Smith.
You can only drive between 11 and 3. Yeah, if we catch you in any sort of fast lane at all, we're going to yank your license. You can come back next year and try for your Class B license or whatever.
You're only allowed like a list of cars that you can own per class. Like,
I'm taking that far. That's a good idea.
Be like a video game. Be like, yes! Like now I've leveled up.
Yeah, that's the move.
I unlocked a Hellcat, and then I woollied it. Now I only have a Corolla.
Back down to the Corolla. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, that would probably go over like a lead balloon, but it would be a good law. Like we can't lie. Like if anything, this Corona has shown us that you get some of the people off the streets, and all of a sudden you can get somewhere.
I have noticed, and it may just be because they want to avoid contact. The cops are a lot less likely to pull people over for speeding, at least from my experience in my hometown. Because like I said last podcast, I just got my big turbo Focus ST going, and I'm having to do to each unit. So I have to go out on public streets and do pulls and send in data logs. And there's been a couple of times where I do my best to find the most bare roads that I can. But there was one time where I didn't see a guy sitting behind a tree, and I'm talking third gear, 6,500 RPM, screaming, just right past him, and he didn't budge.
Really?
He did not budge. Yeah, not at all.
See, again, I think that's like the speeding thing. I think that depends on your county and probably what the sheriff told people. I mean, some of them are probably like, listen, don't put yourself in any stupid, unnecessary exposure. We need to be here in case stuff gets bad. I don't need my whole staff sick, right?
Right.
But then some little towns are probably like, we need that revenue.
Yeah.
Like we don't have people on the street. So if normally the bar is like 20 miles an hour over, now the bar might be 10 over or 5 over or what. I think it just depends on where you're at.
Yeah. So from this, this Camry, obviously what this guy did was stupid, especially in a construction zone with workers present. It presents the question, what's the dumbest thing that we've done in cars? Wooly, would you say that it was your Hellcat situation?
Crap. Yeah, maybe. Kind of forgot about that one. Hold on.
The video just in case you forgot.
Yeah, we can look that up. That is probably the stupidest / most embarrassing like facepalm thing that I've done in a car. I know we got into it a little bit last week. The Santa Run. I don't know if we called it what it was, but back in the early days of S3, it must have been the first year or something. There was this thing called the Santa Run, kind of between Alabama and Atlanta. in kind of that nowhere land. And it was like a Toys for Tots thing. You bring some toys. And for some reason, we just went and ripped around like 100-mile-an-hour like circuit thing that they kind of put up on all these back roads. But yeah, it was
because we were in Wooley's old his old gray Eclipse GST, and I remember being like, okay, man, we're here to cover the event, and it's for charity, so let's like take it easy. Mm-hmm. Let's take it easy, and we agreed on that. It didn't last long at all. I visibly remember just a little faster, a little low. That he's taking off. Screw it, let's just go. And the next thing you know, we're just on ass through these towns. It was a Sunday morning, so like everything was fine. The streets were pretty clear until church started letting out, and that was kind of when it all got bad.
Yeah,
we got yanked out of the car.
Yeah, it got bad. I don't know what happened. Peer pressure is just a mug. But I remember the car in front of us, S2000. We got out onto the 2-lane, and he just started ripping, and so I sucked up right behind him, and it was kind of one of those things where you're looking down and like, okay, 110, 120. This dude is gonna just keep going. I guess this is we're just cruising at this speed. So we were just wide open on these back roads.
So some kid was at church, like hearing all these cars.
Oh, they were all at church because we'd passed. And this is the Bible Belt. So we got little steeples just all over the place, and you're just, whoa, And it was like they broke us down into groups. So it was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 groups of like 12 each, And that's what screwed us, because the first group, which we were not in, got back to the home base, without any problems. But what happened was everybody started calling the cops. So when you were in like the 3rd or 4th group like us, they came down on you. Like they figured out what was going on. And I don't remember where we were, someplace in Alabama, I think. And the cops started pulling over. There was a team of them. They pulled over anybody that had a modified car whatsoever. So we're getting pulled over, and a cop's walking up to my car as my buddy calls me. So I answer the call, and my buddy's like, dude, we're getting pulled out of the car. I think we're going to jail. And I'm like looking at the cop walking up to us, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be there in a minute, man. But apparently they got some sort of a roadblock. I don't know what's going on. It looks like they're pulling over all these modified cars. And then the cop reached in and grabbed my phone and stuck it on the hood of the car and said, like, if we said another word, he'd arrest us for obstruction of justice or something along those lines. And he held us there, and we were just sitting there. Like there was 20 cars pulled over on the side of the road. And it's like, oh, we're totally screwed here. And then he pulled us out of the car and basically lectured us for about 10 minutes, and then said, listen, if we catch you all going 1 mile an hour over the speed limit, you're going to jail. I suggest you guys go back to wherever the heck you came from, and today's your lucky day.
Hold on, man. You're forgetting the funniest and most ridiculous part of that story, though. Before we actually got pulled over at the roadblock, remember we were all on radios talking to each other and stuff, and we heard that they were out looking for us. So me and you freaked out, and you were like, we got to park somewhere, man. Let's just park, and we'll go get some lunch or something, and we're just going to leave the car. So we did. Pulled over, we parked, got out, started walking away from the car as quickly as possible. And I remember looking around and being like, man, there's a lot of cop cars at this Walmart. But no, Wooly had actually parked us at the back of the police station. So
yeah, everybody was scattering, man. I didn't know where we were going. It was just like left, right. Okay, pull it in.
Literally, you could have put the car anywhere. You put it pretty much in the impound.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
I guess they're not really looking there anyways, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
It could be the smartest spot to be.
Yeah, it was.
But we saw that and we freaked out, and then pretty much just left and ran into the roadblocks from there. That's what happened.
Textbook wrong thing to do.
We did everything wrong,
and then we panicked again and walked straight into the trap. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. That was up there. That was in one of those young and dumb and but it was. Hey, we're talking about it now. It was fun.
Yeah.
Wouldn't do it again.
Seems like it would be a blast. Like that sucked, but to be able to have that live through that, I bet that was awesome.
It was fun because, like I said, we were going And we were kind of making excuses like, listen, man, we're not going to go and get stupid. We're just going to go and kind of take some pictures and have some fun and cover the event. And then we got stupid, and then we got away from it, or we got away with it. So the whole thing just kind of happened fast. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's kind of the downfall of being able to be so passionate about, what you're doing, especially when it's for work, because you're like, oh no, like I'm only here to work. But like what your job is also your hobby. So before you know it, you're just like you said,
it was kind of a different time. I mean, the phones weren't where they are now. Like video might have been on it, but it wasn't good. People didn't walk around filming everything and uploading it. Like we'd have to be a little bit more careful now. One, I guess we're older and wiser, but two, as a magazine, dude, you think about like, I guess, again, I'm just older now, but I think about the repercussions. Like if we'd have hurt somebody, and somebody had gotten that on video and it had been like, oh, these are these guys from the magazine. Like it's just no good. But man, back in the olden days, you could get away with a lot more,
Yeah.
Different
At the same time, we've never really been great at separating work from fun when it comes to cars, which is maybe why we've made it for so long doing this.
True.
Whatever.
So would you say, Mike, that would be your dumbest car story, or have you done something dumber than that?
Oh man, put me on the spot. I don't know. That was probably the most reckless thing I've ever done in a car. Especially for several hours straight, just hammering on it and doing dumb things on public roads. Yeah, that's probably the most reckless, stupid thing I've ever done.
To put it in perspective, like
it doesn't stop, it doesn't slow down.
We all do stupid things for like 10 seconds. You know what I mean? Or like you do a poll and we get away with it and then we shame the people that don't or whatever. Like, but to do it, for hours on end and hold those sorts of speeds is ridiculous, man.
Well, and the fact that as soon as we got back across the Alabama-Georgia line and those state troopers and cops left us alone, we got right back to it and started hauling again. So, it was a pretty dumb day.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
As far as anything, it was that cops can't really deal with outside of their jurisdiction. So,
I don't think they expected as many racers as we had. I think they absolutely intended on taking us to jail until the cars just kept coming and kept coming, kept coming. They literally had us all yanked out of the cars, sitting on the side of the road. Like half of us had handcuffs, the other half didn't because they ran out of cuffs. I think they just kind of were like 1, 2, 3, 4, 19, 43. We don't have a jail big enough. You guys can go.
I remember them saying, y'all sit right here. Y'all sit right here and don't move. And then they went and kind of talked. And that was probably the situation. What the hell are we going to do with all these people like days before Christmas, and I remember him saying, guys, like, I get it. It's for charity, guys. I get it. Like, I like cars too, but like my wife and little kid are out here on the roads right now, and he's like, I know you all know what you're doing, but you can't, or you think you know what you're doing, but you can't control what's going on out here, man. You can't, you don't know what's around the next corner. This isn't a racetrack. And then, and they were on us like stink on poop until we got, out of Alabama. It was bad. It was like one would turn off and one would come up behind. It was just like, oh my God, Get me the heck out of here. But
I don't think mine's that crazy. I think probably the dumbest thing that I've ever done. One time my buddy Zach, we were still in high school. He found sitting on the side of the road in a Dollar General parking lot, a guy had, this is so Alabama, he had a 1986 Toyota Celica for sale for $1,000. Manual transmission. This thing was hideous. It like leaked oil from every orifice that it had.
Sounds about right.
But it ran. And he bought that car, and me and him, like, I think I dailied it for like a couple of months because I blew my truck up. And he drove it forever, and then at some point it got sideswiped on the interstate, and insurance gave him, because he put full coverage on it or something. I don't know what happened, but insurance gave him $4,000 for that Celica. He bought it back for $300, and then from that point forward, it was just beat the ever living shit out of it until it would not go anymore.
That's cool.
So he's already made.
It's still alive to this day.
No, it's not.
It's in a lake.
So one day there's this road where they kind of paved it weird, where it like dips down really steep, comes up sharp, and kind of like has a point. So it's like a perfect jump if you're really hauling ass. So he goes, we should jump it. And then 17-year-old me goes, that's a great idea. So we pile 4 people in this 1986. Google a 1986 Toyota Celica, how small that car is. We fit 4 people in that stupid thing. I mean, there's easily 1,000 pounds because we had 2 of those dudes were pretty big. And so he hammers it, and we're like probably a mile away when he like launches it. So I don't even want to know how fast we were going. We hit this thing, and when I tell you we Dukes of Hazzard jumped this car, we did. We came off, and all like I heard "woom," and then there was a boonk in the middle of the air from one of the dudes in the back hitting his head up against the back glass. So I mean, I swear there was a solid enough time to blow the Dixie horn. That's how long we were in the air, and then bam, bam, we hit the ground. I think that the axle broke into the timing chain and like put in like it up into the side, dude. It tore that car all to pieces. So I have to say that's probably the dumbest thing I've ever done. And I went by that road the other day just because I was a couple months ago before this whole quarantine thing happened. But I was with a buddy and it came back up, and I was like, I wonder if that road is still paved like that. And sure enough, it is. And I just sat there and I was like, it's so dangerous because you don't have like maybe 100 yards after that before it's a sharp left turn and woods right in front of that. Like it's such I don't recommend doing it.
No.
Am I glad I have done it? Yes, because I survived that experience. Would I do it again? Not at all.
That's crazy. That's my thing is I would be afraid when it landed, it would break stuff and you would go right in the trees, you know?
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. We did break
stuff. Wheels are going that way. We're going this way.
Somehow the car landed flat straight and broke straight.
It's insane how what we get away with, man. Like how many times were we right on the brink of absolute tragedy and you just skate by it and give each other a high five and you know, never realize how close you were. I used to see people like shame people that would get hurt or killed in street racing type thing. You know, you'd see a lot of that on social media, like, oh, it serves him right. What an idiot. I'm like, dude, be honest with yourself. We've all been that idiot. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean we're freaking bad people. We were just made stupid decisions, and thank God we're lucky enough to come out the other end of it completely ignorant to how close we might have been. I know I had an experience like that in college. I don't feel like getting into it, but it's one of those things that you get home and you're just like, wow, my whole life would have just gone shoot in a totally different direction if I just it was, you know, there's all these close calls and we don't have a clue, man.
Have you ever had one of those experiences? So I used to date this girl that lived like an hour and a half, an hour from me. And one time I left to come home really late at night. And of course I'm like exhausted from having been there all day. And when I got home, like I pulled into the driveway, cut the car off, and then I go, I don't remember the last 30 minutes of me driving this.
Yeah.
Like, how did I get here?
Yeah. How did I the last thing I remember is Goldfinger coming on back at whatever exit. And that was an easy 40 miles ago.
Yeah. I've had that happen where I've just been really tired, but awake. And I've had it happen where I've just been awake, but spaced out. You know what I mean? Like you're just going through the rhythms, but you're not like there. Your mind's just totally.
That happened to me once. I woke up like I started off in the far left lane and I like jumped up in the far right lane. Thank God there was nobody else like around because it was early in the morning. But that is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait. Speaking of Jesse, what's the dumbest thing you've ever done in a car?
I don't have anything like crazy big, but I've got 2 that kind of stand out. Back in Jacksonville, there's this bridge called the Buckman Bridge, and it's got to be, I don't know, maybe a mile long. It's a long bridge.
Is that the Blue Bridge?
No, this is more south. This is between Orange Park and Mandarin.
Okay, yep.
So it's got, so on the...
Oh, yeah. That's the one we went over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you start off on the east end, you've got a long straight, it crests over basically a hill, and then comes back down and then curves to the right. I had a bunch of friends in Mandarin area that we would always hang out, and when we would go back to my side of town, we would get on that. And there's no shoulder, so no cops like really stay there. At the very end of the bridge, you got some cops that kind of like hang out there. So you've got a good, almost a mile of free time. And there were some times where it was just like, by the time I got to the end of the bridge, I'm like shaking, like, why did I just do that? And we're just like bobbing and weaving. I mean, there's usually a lot of traffic in there. So relatively fast in my Corolla, I'm still able to keep up with, the WRX that's next to me or whatever, but there's lots of bobbing and weaving, and we're just kind of playing around with each other. So that's probably...
And you're over... And this bridge, right, you're like over the ocean.
No, this is over the St. John's River.
John. Actually, hang on a second.
Okay.
Hunter, when we went to 24 Hours of Daytona, that's the bridge that we went over. And remember,
Yeah.
my dad told a similar story, actually. And this is back in the 80s. So he has a 1982 Porsche 911 SC. He still has it, actually. He bought it in 83. And, he's done vintage racing and was really involved with the Porsche Club there in Florida in the 80s and stuff like that. But I never knew this story my whole life until I was in the car with you, Hunter.
I remember this.
And he was like, it was fairly shortly after I got in the car, was off of work, and it was an odd hour or something. And he was like, I was getting like about to be on that Buckman Bridge, and some guy in an Aston or some sort of gentlemanly kind of exotic car kind of went by him, like, boom, like trying to be cool or something. And my dad was kind of like, not today. And so he just ripped it and he said he must have passed him like 140 miles an hour on the Buckman Bridge or something. Just went, wah! And just kept going, stayed in it for like the length of the bridge, and then got out of it. And right as he got off in Mandarin, there was like 2 cops there.
Yeah.
And he had that moment where you're just like, oh my God, I have a child and a job and a family. Like, what the hell?
And there's very little shoulder. So if you hit that side railing and you're going fast, you're swimming.
Back then, it was only one. You know how Buckman Bridge now is like two?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was like one little bridge. I think it was just a 4-lane or maybe I don't know. It was much smaller than it is now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess we all have those crazy ass stories. I remember also, just while we're talking about my dad's stories, so like we grew up in Jacksonville, but my dad bought the 911 in Atlanta, and he was coming back, and I was a toddler, so I was not there, but he was coming back, and he said there was some car kind of like creeping up in his rear view or something like that, and the road opened up, and he just decided he was going to go for it and see what this new car had, and just took the hell off. He said he just watched the car just disappear into nothing. And then he watched blue lights come right back up. And he was like, oh, crap. But that was another one that he got away with, man. I think a lot of it's just in how you, react to the situation and treat the officer. So, lesson learned.
Thank God we're alive.
Yeah. All right. Well, enough stupid stories. What else we got?
Let's see. All right. So moving on. We have death of the driver's car. So we have like a little list of topics that we're going to go over. And Jesse has titled this one, Death of the Driver's Cars. So to kind of kick it off, we've got a new list one of these media companies has put together where it shows that currently in 2020, there's only 1 in 8 U.S. car models, period, come with a manual transmission. And I don't know how to feel about that. It hurts me, man.
I feel terribly about it. It's the dumbing down of society. Have you guys seen the movie Idiocracy?
Yes.
It's basically what's happening. That used to be just a funny movie, funny story. It's more like a documentary now.
Yeah, it's really happening right now. It's a popularity contest, this presidential debate.
Well, we're not getting to the politics side of it. I'm just talking about the stupidity. just the dumbassness in general about all of it.
I mean, that's why I get so hyped. Any manufacturer out there that's putting, you know, a 6-speed or whatever in their cars, I respect it, because he's just said it. It's 1 in every 8. So when I see the little plug here, Corolla hatchback coming with the 6-speed,
and I mean, just looking at those numbers, be like, okay, fine. Not everybody makes a real sports car, but look at it. New Supra, automatic.
Yeah.
New Mustang, the new Cobra, automatic. What else?
Well, like
cars.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm
new Corvette, isn't it only an automatic?
Yes, the GT500, the Corvette, the every freaking thing that's over 40 grand, pretty much. I mean, I was sitting here at the beginning trying to be quiet because I'm like, no, I don't want to go off on a tangent again. But like, y'all,
down the trigger up in the top left.
Please, if you don't subscribe to the magazine, subscribe to the magazine. We'll send you the current issue and read the Supra review, because I wrote that. Dude, I wrote it, and I wrote it even edgier, and I brought it back to where it is now, and I was still uncomfortable when it printed, thinking, oh gosh, you know, I'm like going too far. And like, half the people that read it, I would say the majority of the people that read it are with us because they're drivers, they're enthusiasts. And some people are starting with he's just beating a dead horse at this point. Well, yes, I am, but I will probably
somebody have to
continue to freaking yell this from the mountaintops until we go out of business, or until maybe, I don't know, somebody changes the market a little bit. It drives me personally insane, because these manufacturers are not making what they want to make. They don't have the balls to do that, minus Elon Musk and Mopar. They're making what the people want. F the people. Like, the people that don't like cars or know about cars don't get to set the trends here and tell the manufacturers what to make. And I wish the manufacturers would have some dang backbone and make cars that are engaging. To me, to everybody, it's fact. A stick shift brings you into the drive. It connects you more with the drive. Not only is that good for your spirit and your mood, that makes you a safer driver, that prevents you from buying bloated ass SUVs that remove you from. Look, I don't care. Drive what you want to drive. If you want a 7,000-pound SUV with 20 million Bluetooth connectors and phone chargers, and do that. I don't care. But like, not to sound like a jerk, but like, it's getting to the point where y'all are in my dang way now. Like, I want to drive. It's my road as much as it's your road, and y'all are just blocking everything. I can't see over you. I can't see around you. You're going under the speed limit. You're weaving around because you're playing with your infotainment. You're not driving the car. I think there's a problem there beyond the enthusiast problem. So anyway, I'm kind of mad about it.
Trigger.
Well, hold on.
Having said that, did you guys see the new Cadillac, the CTS 5 or whatever they're calling it? The V 6.2, I think, supercharged 550 horsepower car, 4 doors, and a dang manual transmission.
6-speed, yeah.
That's my
and
car.
They're thinking about making a wagon.
My problem is I can't afford that car. So then I become one of the enthusiasts that's like, but not that one. Like, I want that, but I want it cheaper. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think the Supra was a major fail on that front. Tim Neely, Tim's Enthusiast Garage, shout out to Tim. He wrote an article in the issue that's at Press that's like, I don't necessarily hate twin clutches, he said, but I think they have to be paired with the right car. If you're in a GT3 or you're in some kind of like serious performance car like that, he said, I love the twin clutch. Your hands are on the wheel. He's like, you're getting the experience that we're after. It's just in a different way. It's like you're through the wheel connected to the car. He said, but to put something like that in a FRS or a Supra is not right. And then I was like, the Supra is not a twin clutch. It is an automatic with a torque converter. And he was like, oh, well, that's just a major fail. He's like, I know that transmission. It's a good transmission, but it's a good transmission in a 5 Series Beamer, but not a Supra, not a driver's car.
Right.
So at least give us the option. I mean, hell, it's just pathetic.
The rate that we're going right now, we're not going to have any manual transmissions in brand new cars in 5 to 10 years, does anybody really want to be buying new tuner cars, new track cars like that? Like, no, I don't.
That's why everybody's buying trucks, because there's not, that's what I wrote about in the Supra article, without that connection to make you just throw all responsibility to the wind. I mean, a Supra does not make sense. It has no room. It's $55,000. It's not a practical purchase. So you have to have that connection that makes people go, yo, I don't care. I've got to have this car. But when you throw an automatic in it, why? Why wouldn't I spend $55,000 on like the most BA Tundra ever and be able to put an entire condo's worth of people in it? Or, you know what I mean? Like it's just, that's the facts, is that people are buying these cars because the sports car alternatives are not engaging enough to grab our heart.
Yeah.
And the frustrating part is,
what you're like, well, what's going to happen when all these new cars? Yeah, I'm not going to buy them. I'm not going to buy a Supra. I'll never own one. It's unless they get cheap enough to where I can throw a manual in it. Like, it's just, I'm going to stick to my 80s and 90s, you know, where I think was kind of the pinnacle before look, the cars drive you now. You don't drive the cars anymore. Right. They basically go through a series of little computer analyzations and get you through a corner and pat you on the back and tell you what a great driver you are. That's not driving to me. I'd rather have a slower car that I get to engage with personally.
And the frustrating part, as far as just manufacturing and marketing goes, is what these manufacturers are doing. Like, look at Ford, for example. They said, guess what, guys? ST line. We're going to go make all these cool little sports cars for you. You guys go out and have fun in them. They do a really poor job of marketing. They don't give you 100% what you want. The STs really did, but the Supra, not so much, you know, and they overprice it. They put it on the market for a year or two and then go, oh, it was a fail. Like, that is crap, in my opinion. You guys didn't even try. You're just looking for a reason. You wanted the car for the hype. It reminds me a lot of the Dodge Viper. You're just putting the car out there for marketing purposes, just to get some articles, you know, about you and your product. You put it out, it flops, the sales are bad, and then you move on with your life. That's garbage.
Like, these dudes don't have any gumption, man. Like, who is running these companies? Me and Mike talk about this a lot. You think that all the execs at like Ford or wherever are going to be like brilliant minds. They're not. They're just, a lot of them are freaking clueless, like really not enthusiasts. And then right below them, you have a bunch of enthusiasts that can't get anything done because of the people above them. Like the movie Ford versus Ferrari was dead on when that dude was like, those guys, you know, like, you know, and he went in the whole thing about like, dude, they have the greatest intentions, but they got floors full of lawyers and control groups. And it's just like with the ST, dude, they had a victory. Like, I don't know how they even got the cars here. It was 6-speed only. You know, you can't get them with an automatic. They're turbocharged. They're versatile hatchbacks. You can put stuff in. But it's like you said, they didn't give it time. Yeah. I mean, I got one too. Like, we actually put our money where our mouth is. We saw the potential. And but they gave it one generation and went, it's not going to work. It's like, dude, you've got to build build the love or whatever, build the demographic, build the audience that you kind of abandoned up until this point. You don't get to make a car for 4 or 5 years and then go, that didn't work. You know what I mean? But I guess, you know, whatever.
I'm nervous that's what's going to happen with the Bronco. They're going to put it up there because it's going up against the Jeep. It's not going to do as well because it doesn't have the loyalty the Jeep has. And they're going to be like, oh, it didn't do, you know, incredible the first couple years, so we're just going to chop it up.
But Ford truck,
probably what's going to happen.
Ford truck buyers are loyal to Ford. So that might say, you know what I mean? Like, if you're a Chevy guy, you're a Chevy guy. If you're a Ford guy, you're a Ford guy. So now that...
Yeah, but those dudes are going to buy F-150s. I don't know if they're going to be sold on the new Bronco.
I'm sold on the new Bronco. I think it looks dope.
Yeah.
There's been some more leaked photos come out, most notably of the two-door. Two-door's a little fugly, but the four-door, it does favor Jeep, but... were it coming from Ford, I like it. I would bought it if I was in the market.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know, man. I think that there might be kind of, I don't know. I was going to say a renaissance of like lowered powered, manual transmission cars like a Miata or an FRS or things like that, except they got to make them for there to be a renaissance, and I don't see that.
That's where Corolla is on top right now.
Well,
I do want to circle back. I do want to circle back real fast to the Focus RS, because we're on this super hype house of, what the ST represented and everything. Of course, the Focus RS is in the same place. Europe, of course, has had the Focus RS since '02, something like that.
It comes and goes, but yeah.
Same with the ST. It's both the Focus RS, the Focus ST, or all of those lines were developed for the European market. It also just came out this week that Ford has completely axed the Focus RS, period. And here is a statement from Ford as to why. It says, as a result of pan-European emission standards, increased CO2 taxation, and the high cost of developing an RS with some form of electrification for a relatively low volume of vehicles, we are not planning another RS version of the Focus. We remain committed to Ford performance vehicles in Europe as part of our DNA, with cars like the multi-award-winning Focus RS and the Fiesta ST, as well as our Mustang and Ranger Raptor models. Listen,
yeah, you can have any car you want as long as it's a Mustang.
Yeah,
or an SUV of some sort.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the RS does come and go. It is kind of like that special edition or whatever that they'll kind of do every once in a while and then not do it for a while. But yeah, I mean, par for the course for Ford. Give us something cool and then take it away prematurely.
Take it away immediately.
And then say, well, we got an escape.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that's why I'm so excited about seeing right now the timing for that Corolla hatch 6-speed to come out and the GR Yaris that's in the Europe market. They're going to put that 3-cylinder turbo in the newer Corolla hatchback, which is still coming in a 6-speed. So, I mean, it might not be the most high performance, but that's fitting into that range of like low power potential.
Well, that's exactly what that Corolla hatch needs. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it was, just a little bit neutered when it came out. Like, everybody wanted to talk about it. Like, they're like, dang, this thing's dope, but driving it wasn't.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't expect it to get it right out the gates. They're at least giving it time. They're looking at it to see where it's at, and they're saying, all right, we need to make some adjustments. They're not pulling the cables out and shutting it down after it didn't do incredible the first few years.
Yep.
So
yeah.
Well, where are we at time wise?
We're at 42 minutes. Do we keep it going? We've only been through half our topics.
What's the next topic?
Let's keep going.
Updates on the NASCAR stuff. All right, let's keep going. So we've got, next up on the list, we got iRacing. NASCAR is big into iRacing right now. Keep money flowing, keep the fans watching, or lack thereof, or however you feel about NASCAR.
Fill those contracts. Get that money.
That's what it is.
So the biggest conversation, at least in automotive racing within the past week, has been, of course, the controversy of Kyle Larson saying the N-word on a live stream. He has sent, not only did he lose his sponsors, but after that podcast, it has come out that he has been fired. He is no longer a NASCAR driver. Par the course, you would expect that to happen. Something that I find kind of interesting, Bubba Wallace, although he's kind of in the hot seat himself for him rage quitting, back 2-3 weeks ago, whatever it was, he has come out, maybe to save face, I don't know, but he has come out in support of Kyle Larson, which is interesting because he is the only African-American NASCAR driver. Some of the stuff he said that I saw the incident the night it happened, and within 5 minutes, Kyle texted me. He called me the next morning as well. Finally, I called him back with a FaceTime to talk face-to-face. And we had a good conversation. His apology was sincere. His emotions and pride were shattered. We discussed why he chose to use that language, and I shared my thoughts. I told him it was too easy for him to use the word and that he has to do better and get it out of his vocabulary. There is no place for that word in this world. I am not mad at him, and I believe that he, along with most people, deserves second chances and deserves space to improve. I do wish him and his family nothing but the best, and I am more than willing to work with him to address diversity and inclusion in our sport. So I think
Okay.
That's exactly what Mike said earlier.
I feel like I'm watching The Breakfast Club right now. This is just two dudes in detention trying to pat each other on the back until the principal lets them go home.
Well, Mike's like an ESPN guy, and he was like running me through, like, okay, here's what's going to happen. This is by the books thing. They're going to do this.
There's a playbook
They're
for
going to
this.
suspend them. They're going to pause for a minute. Then they're going to fire them. Then they're going to do some sort of like, what did you call it? It was like business
The PR campaign.
probation.
He's gonna have to come out and be like a humble hero, which he's doing right now.
He's going to better himself and prevail, and then be back in a couple of years.
Well, I appreciate you being like the business mind.
Hold on, you broke it.
Someone,
Your Alabama internet.
Can you please do something to help Hunter's internet? It's killing me.
Sorry. I've got the little thing coming to boost the signal. My router's like in fucking China, okay?
The next room is just not fast enough, man.
God.
So anyway, what did you say, Hunter? Because nobody.
I don't fucking remember. I think I broke up in my own head.
Yeah, I don't know. I forget where we are. I don't want to touch it. Basically, look, regardless of whatever you think about the world or pop culture or races or racism, like NASCAR is funded by big corporate dollars and sponsorship packages. So it is not the local roundy round Saturday night racing pit lane where, you fight and you say whatever the heck you want. Like, this is NASCAR. They know the rules.
Yeah.
Broke the rules. I mean, like,
it was kind of really dumb. Like, if you have gone and seen a video, there was no like. I
don't want to take a side. I haven't seen the video. I don't want to upset.
He could have literally said any other word.
Yeah, like
anything.
The fact of the matter is, if you sponsor the guy, he could be your best freaking buddy. He could be your brother-in-law. You got to let him go, period. Because if you don't, you're for it. You know what I mean? So, like, there's absolutely no way out of that. You know what I mean?
I do think
always in that spotlight, they're representing the brand of Fortune 500 companies, and they're representing themselves as a brand. And it can take an entire lifetime to build that brand. And we just saw it took 0.3 seconds for him to like destroy that entire reputation. So let that be a lesson, kids.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I do like how the dude's name is Bubba, right? He said, like, there's no place for that word in the world. Not based on race or anything like that. There is no place for that word in the world. There is no way that we can ever be one people when there is a segregating word like that. You know, like, so it really, I don't know. I'm just a naive white dude, but I just think, well, why would anybody want to use that word?
I do think it's interesting, assuming that what Bubba quoted to this news network is actually what he told to Kyle. When he said that, I told him it was too easy for him to use that word, which is pretty strong. Yeah, which is a pretty strong statement, because basically he's telling him, like, you use this every day. Like, this is a regular thing for you to fall into that word so easily.
To slip and say it, yeah.
Yeah, which is like a huge call out.
Yeah.
So.
I mean,
whatever. I wish them. Well, Bubba is in a lot less of a hot seat now. But as far as Kyle's concerned,
swept it out from under him.
Bubba's like, thank you.
He's diverting attention.
But Bubba might get all of Kyle's sponsors just for the fact that he is the only African American driver.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do wish Kyle the best. I mean, hopefully he can find some sort of silver lining and find success. But Jesus, that was stupid. That was real stupid.
Yeah.
On a lighter note of NASCAR and iRacing, however, a lot of these guys are starting to build very intricate, simulator rigs, to the point that some of them have, like, the hydraulic ones where you get in it and it, like, as you're turning, it leans with you and, rocks, and you hit bumps and it shudders you and everything. So one of the drivers recently, one of the pro racers in an actual, like, league race, he got wrecked. He got pushed into a wall by accident, but he hit the wall so hard that his actual simulator rig flipped over.
The realest sim rig
like mid-race.
Yeah, like if you there's a video of it because he's streaming himself driving in his simulator rig, and you see him hit the wall, and then progressively you see him go, "I'm falling," and then the whole thing just goes boop on the side, and he unharnesses himself from his rig to get out and flip it back over and keep racing.
Oh my
Wow.
I just thought that was so funny because, like, what has technology become that you can flip your car in your own like
On
There it is
Alabama.
again.
As he's talking about the technology.
Yeah. How far has technology come to where we can work?
Really not that far.
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. I bet
These
that was
simulation rigs are insane. I mean, incredibly. And these are thousands and thousands of dollars. I mean, mind you, a lot of these are being sponsored. So, like, it's not coming out of their pocket. But some of these people, like, they just stream on YouTube or Twitch or whatever, and they spend thousands of dollars in this rig. I mean, right now, more than ever, it's probably the best time to use it since you don't want to be outside and about all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Whatever.
guarantee you that
I'm
simulation
watching the video
sells
for it
are-
right now.
You just see all his weight, like he's dropping, and then
It's such a slow
like,
drop.
It's so funny. But and his spirits are so high about it. Like, he acknowledges how dumb of a situation it is, and it just makes it even more funny. Where he's like, I really just flipped my car in my living room. Like, what am I doing with? I am a professional NASCAR driver, and I'm in this right
How
now.
did I get here?
Yeah. I just think it's so funny. I mean, honestly, like, I have a feeling that because of all these iRacing NASCAR shenanigans that's going on right now, after this is all said and done and they go back to racing, I think views are I think NASCAR has new fans. I genuinely do.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. I think there's also going to be a continuum. I mean, mind you, there was probably a sim racing league beforehand, but I think popularity of that on its own will kind of take off afterwards too.
Yeah, for sure.
Good that at least one of the sports has kind of figured it out and actually used online resources to further the brand, because everybody else is just flailing and not really doing much. I mean, they're about to do the NFL draft from Roger Goodell's basement, guys.
I will throw one out there, one I haven't heard much about, but I noticed they are, is FIA World Rallycross.
Yeah.
They're doing sim.
Yeah, seeing his rally shit.
Listen, it stays on my subscribe YouTube anytime it comes up.
Jesse loves rally. One time, I don't really see Jesse fangirl. Jesse's pretty reserved when we're at places, but we were at SEMA, walking through the aisles or whatever, and he like slapped like so hard it knocked the breath out of my chest. And he goes, "Oh shit!" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "That's so and so from FIA." He's like, "You got to get my picture." I'm like, "Are you serious right now?" He's like, he shows me his camera. He's like, "Yeah, I got to meet this dude." It's the only time I've ever seen Jesse do that. It was so funny.
You built you a little rally car then.
Listen,
Yeah.
I would love to. And this is where I kind of got it from. And this is kind of like a stupid thing I used to do. At my old job, probably 2 jobs ago, I won't say where it was at, but there was like a company truck, and it was like rat-a-tat. It was a Toyota Tacoma 2001. Great little car, but it was like I beat it up for everything. And I was also the EMT for the campus. So anytime there was an emergency, I needed to grab the trauma bag, I needed to grab the AED, the O2, and wherever the emergency was, I had to race there as fast as I can in this little pickup truck. And so if I got the call over the walkie-talkie, everybody knew clear the roads. And it was just like throw everything in the truck, and I would close in, lock up, and I would just haul. In the lakefront property, there was this berm. And if the gate was closed, like I would have to get out, unlock the gate, open it up. But if I needed to go in emergency one time, instead of trying to like get out and unlock the gate, I went ahead and just bolted over this berm. And it's got to be like 3 or 4 feet. So like they're at the lakefront, they're doing their simulation training thing or whatever. And all of a sudden this Toyota Tacoma pickup truck goes, just like clouds of sand just rocking about. And it's like, I mean, The thing is a tank. It's probably still running to this day. But like after that, I was like, this is where I need to be. This is what I love. If I'm not passing trees at, it's 60 miles an hour and they're a foot away, like if it don't tickle your nuts a little bit, it ain't really driving, is it?
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. It's awesome.
Man, do you know our buddy Evan Klein over at Exity?
I've probably met him before.
That's a dude you can hang out with. He's a big rally guy.
Was, and now he's a mountain biker, right. And he's like, I realize how much less expensive mountain biking is. So yeah, he's all into that right now.
Told us some ridiculous stories about hitting trees and
destroying
cars. Those cars are done after a year, and that's like if you didn't crash it, they're done.
I mean, as scary as it is, like they're probably the safest vehicles out there. I don't know if you've seen some of these cars after like a really bad wreck. The drivers are totally fine. I mean, like you could roll down. What was it Evo corner at Pikes Peak? Mm-hmm. And you saw that thing just roll down, and the guy just like got up. Nothing happened. Like, arguably, these are the safest cars ever.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, that video got shared on my Facebook the other day, and I, just out of curiosity, I was scrolling through the comments on the video just to see what people's thoughts of, the situation were. And because nobody in the post, they just posted the video. They didn't say anything else.
Right.
And a guy commented and he goes, yeah, that guy's definitely dead. But the guy survived. And underneath that guy's comment, the driver of the car responded, and all he said was, no, I'm not. That was so funny.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, where are we on time and topics?
All right, we're at 56 minutes, and we only have one topic left, which Mike wanted to talk about what the hell is going on with the oil industry right now. It's pretty funny, and although it's not directly related to cars, I think you guys will still appreciate it. So, Mike, take it away.
Oh, yeah, so this was just kind of something ridiculous that I saw today, just kind of glancing at the market. So, apparently, for the first time, I think ever, oil is actually trading at a negative value. So, they were literally pay you to buy barrels of oil right now. When it's normally traded at like, $30, $40, $50 a barrel. I think that one company is even doing it like negative $37 a barrel. And it's funny because I'm just kind of like perusing social media. You see people who see the headline and like, oh my God, they're going to pay me to get gas. That's not true. Okay, so if you're thinking that, that's definitely not true. And then you got the other group of people who are basically just like, oh yeah, I'll just buy it. This is the epitome of buying low and selling high. The problem is that this isn't like a normal stock where you buy a little bit of Apple and then you sell a little bit of Apple. It's not like that. Whenever you buy this on the futures market, you're buying a contract for oil. So basically, the reason it's negative is because there's so much oil on the water coming to the U.S. and the refineries here in the U.S. have so much in stock. There's nowhere to put it, literally nowhere to put it. And they have to keep business moving. So they're saying, I'll pay you $37 to come pick that barrel up and take it anywhere but here. Just to get it out of here so I can replace it with one of those that's on that container ship that's coming over here because obviously nobody's traveling right now. So demand for oil is plummeting because there's no gas being used. Planes aren't in the sky. There's nothing happening with oil right now. So it's just funny because anybody who actually does think they're smart enough to cheat the system and go out and buy these shares of oil are basically either going to lose their contract or else tomorrow, whenever the contracts are up, they're going to have to drive to Texas and go pick up those barrels to fill the contract in order to even have money. Or, I mean, there's other options. You can, go to another future date, but that's kind of what happens in the short term.
Now, could that be a correlation as to why we're seeing the oil price or the gas prices drop? Yeah. Okay.
So that's part of it. The other part is there's a price war going on between Russia and Iran, I think. And this didn't help the situation at all, where they basically just said, make as much oil as possible, and we're going to see who can handle getting beat down on prices for X amount of time. But now that this has happened and no one's using the oil, there's just oversupply everywhere in the world. So it's a bunch of stupidity that's not helping, especially when we're in the situation that we're in right now.
Well, my dad had always kind of mentioned that, we got all these big SUVs now running around with 40-gallon tanks or whatever it is, and they have them, full. So everybody's riding around with 40 gallons of gas, and that's just if you got one car. Like me, I have 7, 7 running cars. So yeah, it's one of those things. Like if you don't necessarily like, overbuy gas, and that's what happens is they have to move it. They have to keep it flowing because more is coming in, and that's when you'll see prices kind of go down or go up. A lot of times when these kind of things happen and everybody freaks out and buys all the gas, it just makes the prices continue to go up, when they start filling up jugs and taking them home and everything. So the game is to kind of leave the gas companies with gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday was the first day since the quarantine thing has happened that I have had to fill up my Focus. And so I'm used to it being 30, 35. I really wish it'll fill it up depending on where I got fuel from. I filled it up from empty for $20 yesterday on 93. And I was like mind blown. I was like, no. It's not full. It's because I'm one. I know Wooly pays attention like percent what he's paying for gas. I just go, I gotta have gas, so I don't care where I get it from.
Real quick, tell them everybody about the story when you got out the car coughing. You went to get gas. All right. First of all, if you don't know Hunter, like when he has a coughing fit, it is a coughing fit. Like his whole lanky body
like
starts
the one in
moving.
Vegas.
I was going to tell Vegas.
Is he dying?
It might be
I think he died that night.
So anyway, this might not be funny to anybody, but I cracked up when you told me, set the stage and tell me about the time you got gas recently.
Yeah, this is when I was filling up the Focus. I called Wooly right after this, but I pulled up to the gas station. I had a drink in my car. So I go to take a drink, and as I'm opening the door, I swallow, but I don't know like what happened, if I like hiccuped or something, but it went down like the wrong pipe, right? So I immediately, as I'm getting out of my car, without thinking, I go into this hacking fit of just throwing my lungs out of my body in the middle of a raceway, which is like a 50-punt gas station full of essential people getting gas. And like I'm coughing, getting out of my car. I shut the door and then I turn around and everybody is looking at me just mortified. So like I have never seen an 80-year-old lady get in her car so fast. Dude, and like I swear, she just
honestly thinks she's dying. She thinks she's gonna die in the next 2 weeks.
I felt so bad because then you can't go. I was drinking a drink and then it just so happened to after I got out. Sorry. You can't do that. So you just have to own it. But I still needed gas. I was embarrassed. I wanted to just leave, but I had to have gas. So I still had to go put my hand on the pump because I didn't have gloves because this car was broken.
I thought I taught you this.
I got a paper towel, okay? They're not selling gloves right now. So I got a paper towel but I'm still touching everything. And I thought for sure I was going to get shot. It was just, that was my face.
Especially an old damer.
Smoked out.
Oh my God.
That poor old lady is rewriting her will right now because of you.
Oh my gosh. And then it doesn't help that I live in a small town in the middle of Alabama, right? This car is like the most obnoxious car in the town. Like, why couldn't I have been in my piece of junk Sonoma that looks like every other alcoholic's car around here? Why did it have to be the one that everybody knows? At
least they know who's got the Ronas now.
Oh my God, that's going to be my stigma for the rest of the time I live in this stupid town. Be like, that's the dude that gave us all.
That guy had Corona. Wow.
God. Well, all right. I think it's been an adventure. We've gone an hour and 3 minutes at this point. This has been our longest podcast yet since we have come back from our hiatus. Yeah, our hiatus. I think it was fun though. We've got
schedule GridLife real quick.
Oh yeah, for any of you guys that are interested in their new rescheduled GridLife dates, it's not on the website, but they did put a blog post out on Facebook. I know a lot of people have been asking questions, so figured we did address it on here. The Alpine Horizon Colorado Festival has been moved to August 14th through the 16th. So it is a week sooner than what you're typical used to as GridLife South. So that will now be the Colorado event. GridLife Midwest has been moved from June to October 2nd through the 4th. So you're going to get a fall Midwest Festival. So it's going to be cold as hell in Michigan. But so if you're interested in that, are we going to be going to the GridLifes? Have we thought about that?
I've got that hookup at the Airbnb. She said if we just come anytime, she wouldn't charge us.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, okay. Well, it might be a Gingerman.
Yeah.
I know. I'm going to Colorado, even if S3 doesn't go to Colorado.
Well, yeah. I mean, everything's up in the air. We don't know what we're doing at this point. Formula D did announce a new schedule.
That's true.
So now Atlanta, where we're at, is the opening event, and it's going to be July 3rd and 4th. July 4th. So it's going to be a freaking party.
Yep, of course, we'll have a booth there.
Yeah, and yeah, dude, that was just kind of good news. Like, that just hit at the right time. It's like, oh my God, that's a light at the end of the tunnel. I don't even care if it gets canceled again. At least it's something to, like, look forward to.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the week after that, it's Import Alliance. So it's that's the problem, is that as soon as this clears up, everything's going to hit hard.
Yeah, it's hitting hard.
We're gonna be
Like we've said in previous podcasts,
I'm
you guys
swinging.
got to be ready to play. We're going to be out there. If they're not out there, I'm going to be out there. I don't care if I got to drive my car from here to California. I need to hang out with somebody, for Christ's sake. Okay. But yeah, so there's your little update on events. Get excited. Hopefully this will all be coming to an end soon and life can get back to being as normal. And hopefully you're excited for that. I don't know what your life was like prior, but hopefully it was better than this. So anyways, what we got going on? What do they need to know about? Is the issue close to coming out?
Yeah, it's at press.
Okay, issues at press, so hopefully you can be expecting that soon.
Yeah,
of course, we've got our YouTube channel. Next week, you will be seeing the video on big turboing this car and getting it tuned. And in between that, if we have any other things that we could film in our houses, you'll be seeing. You got our socials at S3 Magazine on everything except for Twitter. It's just at S3 Mag. But other than that, guys, we will see you next week with more current events. So have a good one. See you next time.
Later.
Later, homies.